Delta 638, contact departure. Have a good flight.
Going to departure, Delta 638.
Air Shuttle 5611, Phoenix Tower, wind 3505, runway 25 right, clear for takeoff.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the next installment in the life of a virtual airline pilot. I'm your host, Captain Mac, and this is actually take 2 of this website introduction here, because the last one was like 12 minutes long and that's just too long. So I'm going to go through it a little bit quicker this time, and hopefully I'll be able to show you everything I want to show you without wasting too much time. Now, quick sidebar, I know the last few videos have not had a website close out, if you will, at the end of the video, and the last flight didn't have the website before or after the flight itself, and the idea there was to shorten the video length. And I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and break the videos into 2 parts. Part 1 will be the website introduction, ACARS setup, and then we will do our pre-start, start, taxi, takeoff, climb, and cruise checklist all the way through that, and then we'll break the video there. And then the second part will be the descent checklist, the start of the descent, and then of course the approach, landing, taxi in, shut everything down, and then we'll go back to ACARS, shut that down, go back to the website real quick and take a look at where we stand. So I'm going to break it into 2 parts, but both parts are going to be filmed at the same time, and I'll just take care of everything during the editing process. That being said, I will post both videos at the same time so that you will have access to both of them. Please leave something down in the comments and let me know what your preference is. If you're okay with the videos being longer, I'll just go back to doing them all as one video. If you prefer the videos a little shorter, we're probably going to stick with this method, but I don't want to deprive you of the experience that we get in our life as a virtual airline pilot. We have to book our flights. We have to get information on our flights. We have to see what we got going on. So that's what we're doing here. And as you can see, we don't have any flights right now. No bids found. We've got all our latest flights. Last one took us down to Phoenix. Now we're sitting in Phoenix. We don't have any flights. So how do we go about getting them? Well, we need to find a flight. So we're going to hop on over here. I'll just click find flights, and then it's going to take like 12 hours to load now because I'm trying to shorten the video. Big surprise. There we go. Okay, 3 different methods in which we can search flights. We can do a single flight by searching a departure airport and arrival airport, and then we can filter that based on both of these criteria. Now, we want to depart from where we're at, so Phoenix would be our departure airport. We could pick an arrival anywhere in the world if we want it. Doesn't mean there's going to be a flight available. We can filter it by the different aircraft. We can choose a specific aircraft, like if we wanted to fly an A319 only, then we could pick that. The flight type, whether it's cargo or passenger, we can even pick which airline we want to fly with. If you know the flight number, you can type it in, or you can go with minimum time, say 1-hour flight or 2-hour flight, maximum flight of say 3 hours, so on. We can choose category, which is really important, and we could also choose type rating group. For example, we could say we only want Beechcraft. Okay, that's your single flight search. Okay, we could do a random itinerary from where we're at. So we could say we're at Phoenix Sky Harbor. It puts that in there for you automatically. We're a probationary first officer, so it doesn't do any good to leave it at anything flyable. But if we pick probationary first officer, and then we could pick, same thing, type rating group, we could pick a specific aircraft, airline, and so on, and we can pick the number of flights up to 15, and then we could say find random flights. And let's click that real quick, and there's 15 random flights. So Phoenix to Sholo, Sholo to, where is this at? It doesn't want to show me now. Wherever K-Pan is, K-Pan back to Phoenix, and it bounces back and forth, Flagstaff, and several other flights, and several different aircraft. And we could absolutely, we could take all those flights. They're all within our rank. We could book the itinerary and be good to go to put all those in our schedule. We're not going to do that. We're going to hop back over here real quick. We're going to do a single flight search today, and I want to show you 2 things about it real quick. First of all, if I don't put anything in the category, if I leave it as is and I hit find flights, I'm just looking for whatever's departing from Phoenix, and you see there's a lot of flights that are above our rank. Okay, we can't fly 737s or A319s yet, so we can't bid on those flights. Now we can fly this. This is the Metroliner. I don't want to fly that right now. I do have one, and it's a pain in the butt, so I'm not going to fly it right now. But we could definitely pick that, or if we wanted to find something else, we could scroll through all of these, and there's 50 pages of flights here. Now I can change this up to 100 per page, and that still leaves 10 pages of flights for me to scroll through and say, well, I don't want the 1900. Well, there's the Metroliner again. Oh, I don't want the PA-31. That's a little Piper aircraft, you know. And so then I could go to the next page and so on. That could be a bit of a pain. So rather than doing that, we'll go over here and we'll pick our departure airport because we want to depart from where we're at. Our category is probationary first officer. Now when we hit search with no other filtering criteria, It only gives us flights that are available at our rank. Now, I was going to fly de Havilland Dash 8 Q400 from Majestic Software today. But in order to do that, we'd have to probably take one of these flights up to Las Vegas in the Metroliner or take a jump seat. I don't want to do either one of those. And I went ahead, and I probably shouldn't have done it, but I did. I bought a new aircraft today. I got the Milviz KingAir 350i. Beautiful airplane. Love it, and I want to show it to you guys. So that's what we're going to fly today. Now, there's a lot of different airports we could fly to, but if we want to fly that Milviz, we need to fly something that's either a BECF, which is Beach Light Aircraft, right, or a Beach 1900, because we can substitute a Beach Light Aircraft for a Beach 1900, if you remember correctly. Since we can substitute those, I can pick any flight that has a BECF or a Beach 1900, and we can fly that with our KingAir 300, or 350, sorry. So what I want to do is, I don't want to fly the BA-31. I'm going to grab one of these Great Lakes Airlines flights, and we're going to fly back up to Page. Now, I know we've been there before, but there's a couple reasons I want to go there. First of all, we've got beautiful scenery in Phoenix, because we've got that, who is it? Flightbeam. Flightbeam made a beautiful scenery for Phoenix, and then we've got that beautiful freeware for Page. We're going to fly up there, so we've got two good sceneries, and we've got an hour and 12-minute flight, which gives us enough time to really experience the aircraft and enjoy it. Even though it's a Beach 1900, I can fly that KingAir 350, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click Add to Bid. There it is. Jump back over to my Pilot Center if it wants to go over there, because it's being slow. And there's our flight right there. And then we could just as easily get our next flight and so on. I'll show you more about booking flights using the other methods later on, but I don't want this to drag on for too long. So let's take a quick look here, because we're already at almost 7 minutes. We're not flying that 1900. We're going to fly that KingAir. Phoenix to Page. Great Lakes Airlines Flight 7160. I think we've flown this one before. We don't need the weather from these guys. We don't need the previous routes from them or the charts. So we got everything we need to hop on over and set up our ACARS really quick and kick this flight off. So I'll see you over there in just a minute. Alright, here we are on our ACARS. You can see I've already gone ahead and grabbed the next bid, the flight that we just did our search for. Great Lakes Airlines Flight 7160. And we're just going to set up our route real fast here. We're not going to use the previous route this time. We're going to use the route that I've set up for this flight. It's going to be at 23,000 feet, or flight level 230 for those of you who are savvy to such things. And then we're going to go ahead and we're just going to type in our flight here real quick. We're going to be going GCN, which is Grand Canyon VOR. And then we just put a space in between each one. Cliff, which is just a waypoint along the way. PGA. And then that'll take us right into the airport. So that's it. That's the whole flight plan right there. We'll hit OK. It's got the flight plan in there. All we have to do is, once we're done setting everything up in the sim, hit start flight, and we're on our way. So let's hop on over there and take a look at this gorgeous new airplane we got. See you in just a second. And welcome back to Phoenix, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the thing. You already know that I absolutely love KingAirs. That KingAir 200 is a thing of beauty. That thing is absolutely friggin' awesome. But yeah, this thing is something else, man. Just look at it. I'm not gonna move it, nothing. Just look at it for a second. That's a beautiful airplane right there. I love this thing. Absolutely love the KingAir, and I'm really excited about this flight and the next few flights, because we're going to put this sucker through its paces. So that being said, videos do tend to get a little long, so let's hop right on in here, and we're going to go ahead and kick off our pre-start and start checklist here. Now, this aircraft it's made by Milviz. Awesome airplane. Here's the thing: it's not actually done yet. So this is like an early release, and anybody can get it. If you want it, let me know. I'll put something down in the description. I'll try to remember to do that anyway. I'll put a link down there where you can get it. Beautiful airplane, 50 bucks. It's not done yet, and yet it's already really stinking awesome. So I can't wait until it's actually finished. That being said, though, there's not actually a complete or proper checklist for this thing. So I'm going to be using the checklist for the KingAir 200, which is a little bit different, just a little bit. So you're going to see some areas where I kind of hem and haw and go, Okay, don't pick on me too hard. I'm doing my best to sort of make a checklist for a different aircraft work for this one. They are very similar, though, so we're going to be able to get through most of it without too much difficulty. All right, enough said about that. Let's go ahead and kick it off right away. And we'll jump right over to our elevator trim, which is supposed to be set to 0. And, of course, I set it up a little bit because I always do. Cabin doors are locked. Baggage is loaded and secure. Weight and center of gravity has been checked. Brakes are set, all switches are off, landing gear handle is down, power levers to idle, that's this right here, they are on idle. Propeller controls are full forward, they are, you can see them up over the top there. And condition levers are to fuel cutoff, which they are. Cabin signs need to be on fasten seatbelts and no smoking, and these are in a different spot here. They're actually on the overhead, and they're already set to no smoking and fasten seatbelts. So we're good there. Cabin temperature mode needs to be off, and that's this one right here. And the vent blowers aft and forward need to be set on auto. Both of them are. I can't find a switch for the electrical heat. So oxygen supply pressure check. That needs to be looked at right here. We have plenty of pressure. We're good to go. Oxygen supply control handle. I haven't been able to find one in this aircraft. Doesn't have the same stuff. Probably doesn't exist in this one. I don't know. If you're a KingAir 350 pilot in the real world, please let me know where that might be. Okay, moving on. Fuel firewall valves. This is one of the first changes we're going to notice. You remember on the 200, there's those two red switches. They're actually down here anyway. And those are safety switches, and you would close them by flipping them down. Well, you can see right here, fuel or firewall valve, same thing, is tied directly to the circuit breaker for both the left and the right, and the circuit breakers aren't simulated. They're just there to look pretty. So we can't do anything with that. Standby pumps are going to come on at this point, and I don't hear any sound. That being said, the next step is to switch on the battery. Flip up this guy right here. And I don't know how long it takes. This is a few minutes ago, and you could start hearing them after a minute. So they will kind of kick in. But with the fuel firewall valves open, the fuel pressure annunciators would come off. Of course, they're off right now because we still have our standby pumps on. When we turn our standby pumps off, and there's our fuel pressure, our low fuel pressure warning up on the annunciator panel there. Crossfeed does not make any changes to that. I already checked it, so we're going to leave the crossfeed as it is. Auxiliary transfer switches go to auto. They're already there, and there are no transfer lights to test here, so we don't need to worry about that. We check the fuel quantity in both the main and the auxiliary tanks, just like on the other one. As you can see here, we've got just about 800 pounds a tank there, and in the auxiliary, of course, we've got 0 because we don't need it. DC volt and load meters, it says obviously for the 200 we would press a little button to check them. We can't do that here. There's no button to press, so we'll leave it as it is and we won't do anything about it. Stall warning test. It's a little different in this one. Flip it up. There's that obnoxious stall warning, and then the landing gear warning test, which is just as obnoxious, and so we know that they are absolutely working. Fire detectors and fire extinguishers test. I'm not even going to bother hopping up. I've already done this a few times here, and guess what? I don't see anything. It's not showing me anything, so it is what it is. We'll just deal with it. The annunciator lights, let me zoom this out just a little bit for you here. Same spot right up here. There's our annunciator lights. For some reason, they're not working for the fire extinguishers over here, as they are on the right side. Not sure if that's a glitch in the aircraft or if there's actually something wrong with them, but nothing I can do about it. And database has been reviewed. It is valid. Oh, and the rotating beacon switch, which is right here, was already on. I made sure of that, so we're good to go there, which means we can go right into engine starting. And guess what? It's the same procedure as the 200. I mean, literally, it's identical, with the exception of the switch doesn't do the little reset here, so you just end up flipping it on. Other than that, everything's the same. It's the same procedure, which is fantastic for us. So we're going to just jump right into it. We're going to flip on the right ignition and engine start switch, and I always throw on the auto engine starts first, and then we'll flip this on. Now, it does get a little different here. This is our N1 right here. Okay? This is our engine temperature right here and our torque up here. So we're looking, same thing, 12%, and you can see that it basically evens out there, and we want to go ahead and, not both of them, just one of them, move it to low idle. And you can see the N1 coming up now as well as the temperature. And so we're just going to monitor those for a second. Maybe. Oh, I must have messed it up. Let's flip it on again. Look for 12%. I think it's because I moved them both and then moved it back down. We're pretty close there, so let's make sure we're just on that one. low idle, and that should get her going. There, now she's going. It's past 50%, so we're going to make sure that that's off. And we're going to monitor our temperature. Take a look at our torque. And then we've got oil temperature here, oil pressure here. And then there's our fuel flow. Fantastic. Looking good there. Everything's stabilizing, so we'll move that all the way to high idle, just like we do in the 200. Come on over here and flip on the generator. And then we hop up top. And we're looking for that same, we're looking for that load. And we can see it's obviously charging because that was down here before, if I remember correctly. But we've got a DC load here as well. I'm assuming we're good to go on that. I did miss. Oh, wow. I just coughed in your face too. Sorry about that. I did miss this on the start of the checklist because it's not in the 200, so I didn't think about it. The instrument emergency lights do work in this aircraft, so they're on there now. And so we're good to go with the start on the right engine, which means now we turn off this generator and we jump right into the start of the left engine. It's the same procedure. We're looking for 12% N1 here. It slows down as it gets closer. And I notice this one doesn't quite like to get there sometimes, but it's there now, so we go to low idle. There it is. Engine fires up past 50% pretty quick, so we can turn that off. Oh, don't you just love the sound of those engines? They're absolutely gorgeous. Fantastic. Now you can see that our N1 is lower on the left engine than on the right. Why is that? Because the right engine's in high idle. That's how it's supposed to be. It doesn't usually do that in the 200s. So I like that that's simulated properly here. Right generator comes on, left generator comes on, engine anti-ice comes on. It's still not on this checklist. You can hear that. That brings the RPMs way down. Okay, but they're supposed to be on for ground operations. Now we can go ahead. Let's hop up to a better view here so we can get this right the first time. We can move this back to low idle. Even them out there. There we go. And that completes our engine start checklist. That's it. That's the whole thing, just like it was before. It's basically the same procedure. Wasn't really any difference there. So pretty thrilled about that. Let's go ahead and move on right into our after start and taxi checklist. We're going to check our DC voltage and load meters. Not really anything to check except that we can see that there's a pretty small load on them, and we do have voltage in here. It doesn't really say anything about the batteries. I'm sort of cross-referencing this with the crude checklist that they have for the 350. So we're not going to worry about checking TPLs and all that stuff. I mean, they've got power on them and there's no external power. So we're just going to, whoops, sorry about that. Leave that on battery and we're good to go there. Avionics master switch needs to come on at this point. It's located in essentially the same spot. We'll close that so we don't accidentally bump those. There's our avionics master. Lights are going to be as required. We'll need nav lights, recognition lights, and strobe lights. Looks like we got fuel vents here. I'm really hoping to find out what those are for pretty soon. If you already know before the, if you know what the fuel vents are for and stuff like that before we get our official checklist, please do me a favor, leave something down in the comments so we can all learn a little early. Cabin temperature and mode says as required. We'll just hop on over here and we're going to put it on auto. Seems the easiest way to deal with it as far as I'm concerned. Instruments have been checked. Brakes will be checked as we get ready to taxi out. A couple things that are not on here, which I missed them somewhere. I know I did because they're supposed to be on here, but I can't seem to find them for some reason. My checklists are falling apart. The main bat bus needs to be on. This says ESIS, but I think it's supposed to be the IFIS, so we want to make sure the IFIS is on. And I think that's pretty much it. We're good to go. The engines are started. We didn't do a hot start. I know that because if you hot start this, it'll screw up on you. So that just moves us to our before takeoff checklist, which of course we're going to do right before we're ready to take off. So that being said, the weather here at Phoenix is all zeros, or 360 degrees, however you want to look at it, at 3 knots. So we're going to have basically a straight crosswind almost no matter where we go. But based on our location, we're going to go ahead and take runway 7 left, and we'll be good to go. So let me just do my quick last minute checks, and then I will hop back on here. We'll taxi to the runway and take off. See you in a minute. All right, let's get ready to kick this off. I'm going to do something a little different, something that I haven't done in a long time. And bear with me as I do this, but I'm going to try and use my track IR. So there you can see it, that's track IR. And hopefully this will make taxi a little bit easier. I'll probably turn it off for takeoff, but we'll see. We'll decide once we get to that point. So we are going to runway 7 left. Well, let's go ahead and oops, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and get started here. You can see our passenger loading is now complete, and we can start moseying on out of here. The master caution is on because our look down there, where's it at? Right in there. Our auto feather is still not armed, and as long as our auto feather is not armed, then our master caution will remain on. Quite a sound of those engines, isn't it? Oh, sorry, not used to the track IR. I was looking to the side there a little bit. Alright. You might be able to just make out that yellow line up there. That's where we're headed to. That's the proper path for us to take in this instance. It seems a little weird, but that's remember, we're flying Great Lakes Airlines on this one, so we're pulling out from their normal parking space, and away we go here. So not much to talk about when we're taxiing. It can be a little bit boring, I suppose, but I thought you guys might want to still go ahead and see this, because this scenery is something else, huh? Oh, where are we at there? That's one thing I like about track IR, is you can change that head position a little bit, which definitely can make it easier when you can't see over the dash or something like that. But we'll just cruise on down here. We'll take this next left, and that will put us on the Echo taxiway. You can see this is, oh, let's see if we get a view of it there. Yeah, this is D6. We're on taxiway D right now. So, and our nose wheel's in front, so we don't need to really bypass it. It's not like flying when you're in a 737 or a, especially like a big Boeing 777 or something like that. Oh, there's our line. Oh, it snapped back on us, didn't it? See, that's one of the issues I have with track IR. You know, I have the little hat clip on. I look kind of silly. I guess there's a new thing coming out. I saw it on somebody else's YouTube channel called, I think it's called a Hat Light or Hat Pro or something like that, and it's got the IR lights that link up with your track IR that apparently make it a lot more efficient. You can get a little clip, I guess, that goes on to your headset, which has lights on it instead of just the little reflective pieces that I have on my awesome little hat clip here. And they definitely work a lot better than what I got. Problem is, from what I hear, they're not quite so rigid. They don't stand the test of time real well, which is a real shame, because you know, it really is a good product. I think maybe a little bit wider view would help. Maybe that's what it is. If it had a little wider view so that it didn't snap out of place when you do something. You know, see like it just now cut out and then it cuts back in. So if I wanted to look up over here, there it goes, it cuts out again. So the view's just, in my opinion, not quite wide enough. And it does, even though I got the smoothness cranked up pretty far, you can see it's not as smooth as we'd probably like it to be for, you know, making tight turns and stuff like that. But we're going to go ahead and keep giving it a try here, and hopefully we'll get some good use out of it. We'll see. I don't know. I'm really liking the EasyDock camera because it puts the view right where I want it, and then I can always click on that mouse wheel and just move the view around. So if I went right now, if I just go over here and I turn the track IR off, and then there's my EasyDock view, and then if I want to look around, I can grab my mouse here and look around like that, which for whatever reason is being slightly choppy right now. But coming up towards the end of the runway here, it's not this turn, it's going to be the next one. We'll go ahead and pop the track IR back on and try and make good use of it here. And yeah, been a bit of a long taxi. I apologize for that. I know that always adds to the length of the video. However, you know, this is just a beautiful airport. It really is. So yeah, I think it's worth it. In my opinion, it's worth it on this one. So we'll just pull up here to where we can still see the line and do our oh, there goes my phone. Big shocker, right? So let's pull up here and do our before takeoff checklist real quick. Turn the track IR off because it's just getting in the way at the moment. And what do we got here? Auto feather switch needs to be armed at this point, so let's go ahead and arm that. Let's just hop down there, it'll be a little bit easier. So here's the auto feather switch. We'll arm that guy real quick. Propeller feathering manually checked. I actually did that on my final checks before taxi. Fuel quantity, we know we're good to go on that. Bleed air valves need to be open. Those are over here. These are the bleed air valves. They are open, and shocker, there goes my phone again. My apologies. I actually thought I had it silenced. Anyway, moving on. Annunciator lights extinguished or considered. So let's take a quick look. All extinguished up there. All extinguished down here except for this one. And I already know what it says, but I'll zoom in for you. It's the rudder boost, which I forgot to turn on. Actually, I didn't. It's part of the run-up procedure, and I didn't do the run-up procedure. I know, shame on me. But we'll get it done eventually. The run-up procedure in this one is very similar to the run-up procedure in the 200, and as I said, it's quite lengthy. So if you want to see it, let me know down in the comments, and we will do it. Ice protection as required. We don't need any. Engine auto ignition as required. We have it on. PFD is good. GPS position is good. Everything is good to go. We are actually ready for takeoff at this point. We're good to go. So, you know what? Still not on here. I wonder why that is. Flaps. And I say I wonder why that is because you would think by now that I would have put it on there, that I've written it on there, but I didn't. Let's turn our landing lights on left and right. And what do you say we get this bird in the air, huh? All right, here we go. Pulling on out. Let's get this thing up in the air. I've already gone ahead and set our altitude select to flight level 230. We are on FMS as our nav source, so we should be able to just hit the nav button, and we'll start out by flying runway heading. So shortly after takeoff, it's a new aircraft, we're still getting used to its performance. So shortly after takeoff, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the autopilot. We'll select heading hold mode to begin with. We'll select flight level change, maybe? No, I think we'll select altitude mode, or maybe even vertical speed. And that way we can do our after takeoff checklist. Alright, so sorry, trying to think about 3 things while I'm talking about 4 others. Let's go ahead and do a rolling takeoff and get going here. Same thing as in the 200, you can over torque the engines pretty easily. We don't want to do that. I'm going to try and keep it in the middle of the runway here. Not doing a very good job at the moment. We didn't calculate any V speeds, but I know that we want to rotate at about 115 knots. So that's what we're going to go with. We got plenty of power, plenty of runway. Coming up just over 100 knots now. I apologize that I can't stay in the middle of the runway. There's our 115 knots. Let's rotate. And we're off. Positive rate of climb. Gear comes up. And we'll keep the nose from climbing too high. Flaps will be coming up shortly. Matter of fact, we can bring flaps up right now. That'll help the nose come down. And as we start to climb out here, let's go ahead and hit heading hold. And turn the autopilot on. Whoa, where's it going? Well, it looks like it's going straight to the FMS there. So altitude, nope, we want vertical speed. See where that puts us right there. It's not actually giving me anything. Didn't need to change the altimeter. It was 29902. Let's see if this thing goes ahead and grabs our course here. Let's hit nav. Oh yeah, my heading changed for some reason. That was kind of interesting. I thought I had it set to the runway heading. Oh well, we all make mistakes. Okay, we definitely need to climb a little faster here. There we go. Yeah, it looks like there's a little magenta line there. And then the green line tells us what we're actually at. So we're a little over 1,500 feet per minute. Actually, there it is right there. Vertical speed, 1,200 feet per minute. Let's take it up a little bit higher. 13, 14, 15. And where's it going here? Oh, I know what it's doing. Come on now. Where are we at? Heading hold. There we go. Okay. Yep, that's what happens in a new aircraft. I haven't actually flown with this yet. It's my first time actually flying with it. I've just done my checklist up to this point. So this is all vectors here. We need to get on an intercept course, so let's go ahead and arm the nav. Oh, doesn't let us do that, so go back to heading mode. So let's get it all the way around where it can intercept here. We're moving pretty quick. While we're waiting for it to come around, yaw damper needs to come on, so we'll flip that on right now. Climb power needs to be set. Now it's 1800 RPMs in the 200, however, let me get this heading around a little bit more. There we go. We're already below 1800 RPMs in this one. We're at 1700 right now. So I'm just going to bring it back a little bit, keeping an eye on our torque there. And you can see that little arrow coming up. I don't know if you see that. This little arrow coming up right here means that we need to back off our throttles a little bit. And that helps us keep our torque in the proper place. So bring that torque down a little bit more. Or not the torque, the prop RPMs down a little bit more. And since I don't have I don't have anything that tells me what I'm actually supposed to be at, I'm just kind of taking a guess right now. Prop sync needs to come on. Auto feather needs to go off at this point. Did I hit it off? Yep, auto feather's off. Monitor engine instruments. Taxi lights can come off. Everything else stays as it is until we go past 10,000 feet. Cabin pressurization check. We can hop back there real quick if you want. This is cabin pressurization. Same thing. Aircraft altitude, 23,000 feet. So we want to go ahead and roll that down. 23,000 feet. That's where we're going to. And we'll set this just about the middle there. And that's it. Now we're going to climb out. That is our after takeoff checklist. I will get it figured out here. Let me see if the nav works now. VOR1, roll, VOR, that's where we want to be, I think. Maybe. Yeah, there's not actually a full manual for this yet. So, and it looks like it's going to turn all the way around there. Let's hop down to the FMS and let's do this. Let's go, just so you guys can see this. We want to go straight to Zepper at this point, so let's go ahead and just delete that. And let's see if that helps us get where we need to go here. Yeah, so hopefully it'll just go over to this line here, the magenta line, and then hang a right. Hard to say whether or not it's actually going to do that. It looks like it wants to go all the way back to Phoenix, which is really obnoxious. I may have to guide this thing the whole way myself. I'm not going to make you guys sit here and watch it. I'm going to take it on up to 23,000 feet. I'll try and figure out what's going on with the navigation system here. And once I get up there, we'll do the cruise checklist. So I'll be seeing you guys in a few minutes either way. Alright, welcome to cruise altitude, flight level 230. I think I've hashed out as far as the nav is concerned. You can see now that we are navigating via the FMS. I guess I just had to hit the nav button an extra time or something. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out as I go along. I did figure out here a few minutes ago how to set our approach speed and landing reference speed. You see these little white lines here. This is something that's kind of weird. So I chose the approach into page, and there is an approach into there. And it didn't let me load the waypoints in here or whatever. So I put them in by hand. Jatka, Kadri. It lists it twice, but you'll see it's still number 9. So Dibby and ECAM or ECAM, whatever you call it. And I set the altitude restrictions in, but for some reason on here, if you look, if I zoom this out, it's actually showing all those waypoints as behind us by Phoenix. But that's not where those waypoints are as far as I know. Yeah, good times. So still trying to figure that out. Probably just end up having to fly it in manually. We'll see what happens. We'll deal with it as it comes. But anyway, let's real quick, let's go through our cruise checklist. Now we're supposed to set our cruise power in accordance with the cruise power tables. There are no cruise power tables at this point. I don't have them yet because, again, the aircraft's not quite finished. So I just took a pick and you can see that we are cruising along at 208 knots, indicated airspeed, and our ground speed is 291 knots. So we're good to go there as far as I'm concerned. Coming up on Chile here pretty soon. And let's see, what does that leave us with? We're just monitoring engine instruments and the auxiliary fuel gauge again. Just like in the 200, we would monitor the auxiliary fuel gauge if we had fuel in it to make sure that it's flowing out of there evenly. We don't have fuel in there, so we're not worried about it. We'll leave it on the main fuel gauge. Keep an eye on that. And other than that, we're just monitoring instruments. Not really sure why this is doing that. I do have the database updated. But again, there are still some things that this aircraft doesn't have. For example, you see I click on chart here. You go up here and it asks us to pick charts. Alright. Destination KPGA, any chart. But I don't know how to pick them. Not really sure how that works yet. And there's no manual on this, so I might play around with that later, but I'm not going to do much with it at the moment. We'll just leave that on nav for now. There we go. And hope we can figure this out. So that's our cruise checklist. I will come back to you just before top of descent, and we can endure this journey together. So I shall see you all shortly.